Call the select board meeting for May 29th to order at 7:01. I need let's see. Mr. Roy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda for May 29th, 2025.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Do you have a suggestion, Mr. Town Manager?
I do, Mr. Chairman. You should have two sets of minutes in your packet, one for May 5th for that special meeting and May 12th. Is that an accurate statement?
I have those, yes.
So
May 12th and May 19th, you mean?
Right, the 12th and 19th.
No, 19th, okay. Yeah. Yes, that's the special meeting, 19th. What did I say, the 5th? Yeah. Well, there was a meeting on the 5th too, sorry.
We already approved those.
Yep, and then, so that the meeting, the minutes for the 19th are not on the agenda, if you wouldn't mind adding those. And I was gonna ask you to add the local emergency management plan, and I have just not got that done. I am struggling like crazy with that thing. So, it'd just be the minutes.
I don't see any,
We'll try to get you out of here early enough so you can work on it tonight.
I'm gonna need to, so please do.
I don't see any reason not to add those minutes to the agenda.
You
So,
just add them after the minutes of May 12th.
yeah, exactly. So, that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
So the motion, or the agenda's approved. So we'll start with citizens' comments.
We gotta approve the minutes here
Oh,
first.
minutes. Thank you, Rob.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes for May 12th, 2025.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the May 12th minutes. Any discussion?
I've got a couple things here. Under citizens' comments, the very last sentence, they have gotten a lot of support from local businesses and the community.
Yeah. that's
Local businesses, period. Whatever, I don't remember exactly, but there has to be something.
I would
there.
say in community, because there's been a lot of support.
And then on page 5, after the warrants and before select board comments and concerns, M. Jones stated Megan Mullins started today as the assistant to the town manager. That's not her position, is it?
Correct. She is the secretary to the tax collector.
Okay. That's all I had.
I've got a couple, but I wasn't here.
That doesn't mean you can't contribute.
Okay, on page 2, under the last one, under the hydraulic hammer for the skid steer. The last 3-4 words doesn't make any sense in the sentence. The stump grinder would probably be used more than this time would be.
We just need to cross out the time.
Yep.
Okay. And, still on page 2, but second paragraph under the purchase of the new skid steer. It says Mike Jones should come out of Highway Department. I think Mike Jones said it could come out of that.
Said the funding should come out of it, yeah.
And then on page 3, under the manager's report, the first sentence, I think "the" can be eliminated. Forms to pour the wall, not forms to the pour walls. And down at the last line, Wilkes should be capitalized. And then I have a question, but it's not something that's wrong. And I also had that Christine rather than,
Well, the question is appropriate prior to approving the minutes, so.
okay, it says M. Jones stated he would be discussing the Class 1 town highway for Sand Hill Road with Du Bois and King. We aren't on Class 1 now?
No, Class 1, it's Route 4A, it's not Sand Hill Road.
It says Sand Hill Road.
It's supposed to go from Sand Hill Road to the bridge on the east side of the Amtrak station,
Okay.
but Sand Hill Road is not a Class 1 road.
Okay, because I was wondering,
So you weren't here and you caught it anyway. Good job.
No, questions are appropriate, that's,
okay. So it's from,
Sand Hill to the Amtrak station.
okay. That's all.
Mark, do you have anything?
I don't, I'm good.
The only thing I'll add is on page 2, hydraulic hammers for the backhoe, not the skid steer.
Oh, good call.
I'm sorry, I was making a note here. Which one did you say?
Hydraulic, on page 2, the hydraulic hammers for the backhoe, not the skid steer. Not a big thing now, but it could be a year from now. So no more discussion on the minutes of May 12th, then all in favor?
I
Motion passes.
would make a motion to approve the minutes for May 19th, 2025.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I have nothing.
I have nothing. That's appropriate.
This, on the second page, we got ag in parentheses. Area should be changed to village. I didn't think that was what we decided to do.
We discussed it and then decided not to. Which paragraph are you in, Mary Lee?
This is the second paragraph down. Ag is in quotation. Area should be changed to village.
Well, we had this, that's all it says, is it was discussed. And we didn't do it. We just discussed the idea of doing it.
Oh, it was discussed, okay,
So that's accurate. It may not be crystal clear, but it is accurate.
okay. That's all.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll go to citizens' comments. Items not on the agenda. Is there anybody on Zoom, Mike?
Yes. Pat and Jeff Schroeder on, but
Anybody got a hand up?
nobody.
Nobody.
I think they're on for the Lions Club auction approval.
Mary? If you're more comfortable, you can pull up a chair, or you can stand right there and we can all stare at you.
I don't need a podium to hide
Okay.
behind. Mary McIntyre, for you tonight as, with Friends of Castleton Parks and Rec, Vice President and Chairperson of the Cash Bash event. Just reporting to you that everything is a go with that. We've sold all 300 tickets.
Super.
And the business support, community support, just is phenomenal. And the group that came together to put that together, I need to give full credit to Mary Beth Haddock, Joanne Austin, Lauren Woodard-Splat, Joanne, Katrina Tarilli, and myself. And we had a lot of technical assistance behind the scenes by President Andy Vermilli, and then just a lot of people jumping in to help here and there. So it's we've got silent auction donations that have been incredible. Two of our select board people who made crafted things. Thank you, Mary. And the golden sponsors, again, two of our select board, thank you, Mark and Rob. But we've reached far, and when I say community, it's not just Castleton. We've got businesses out of Fairhaven that also contributed. And where the tickets are coming from, where the buyers are, we've got a lot from the lake. We've got a lot from Ira, a lot from Hubbardton. Obviously, the majority's from Castleton, but a lot from Fairhaven as well. People are excited. We're looking forward to it. We haven't crossed the victory line yet. This was just a little piece of it. We've got to get through this next week and get it all together. But We'll have a volunteer, for those interested in volunteering. We're going to have a walkthrough Sunday night, because it's hard for anybody to imagine how we're going to do it, because it's a lot of people, and, but it's a chance for people to really see that building and the potential it has. It's an opportunity for people to see each other and visit, and in a non-confrontational, non-political atmosphere. Just should be a good time, and that's what we're looking for. So,
Haven't sold them all yet.
yeah, they're, I assumed I could trust you for the money.
I didn't know how to make it out.
Friends of Castleton.
Did you sell a ticket to Roy Newton? Do you think Roy would be allowed to go anyway, as a reporter?
I'll talk about that on the side.
Talked about it in executive session.
He might take a couple of pictures and get some publicity.
Oh, there's the winning ticket right there.
If he's in a good mood, you never know with Roy.
Yeah, there you go. So,
Right about that.
any questions?
Serve raw meat, Roy.
And we are working, we had a meeting with Andy and John and I to work out parking. I know Andy's been in touch with, emailed the chief. I don't know if the topic yet.
I responded, he hasn't probably gotten it.
Okay. But we're gonna have handicap parking and limited mobility off Mechanic Street for those who can't walk as far. And we'll have, everybody's gonna enter in the library door, which is a little different, but we will have somebody tending the handicap. But if it rains, which would be a shock for it to rain on a Saturday, we need to be prepared by getting them in and having space. So we're gonna get them in the door in the library. What was the library? I'm not sure what it's called now, but I'll refer to it as the library. So we can get them in, undercover, processing, and then through the door. Handicap, anybody needing to use the handicap door will just come in and we're gonna have guides throughout the building to answer any questions, to bring people to the gym, to the silent auction area. We're gonna have people representing the rec commission. We're gonna have a table for them and for Friends of Rec to explain to the community what they're doing. And I think we're gonna have a representative, but it has to be there from the trails, the Rutland D&H Trail.
Oh, yeah, the Rail Trail Council?
Yeah, the Rail Trail Council, they've asked to be there, so I think they're gonna have a small table right near the Rec Commission and the Friends of Rec.
Sounds good.
Fantastic work.
Hope it all comes, I think it's gonna be a good thing, and
Yeah.
I look forward to positive results.
Yeah.
Anything else for citizens' comments?
Just a parking place close to the door for the press.
You'll have to deal with Friends of Rec on that. The board's not, that's not within our scope of authority.
We'll send a limo for you, Roy.
Okay, we're gonna move on to police department update, unless there's something else on Zoom I don't know about, Mike.
Nobody's raised their hand.
Okay, chief, you're up.
Good evening.
Good evening, chief.
All right. Let's go over the Castleton Police Monthly Report. I know I did drop them off, so everybody should at least have those. Difference, I mean, obviously, in April, we were up, 35 extra service calls, 711 to 746. Really, mental health increased that last month to 20 from 18. Nothing really stands out. We're pretty consistent with what goes on here. Traffic stops were up because the weather was getting better, so. Any questions on the service calls?
The mental health calls certainly seem to be trending upward.
Yeah, that's a whole new deal. We'll talk about that. There's a narrative in the back that Justin put together to talk about. Criminal arrests, we also came up because April was a busy month from 6 to 12, so we doubled that, total arrests in April. The assault of the police officer was dealing with the mental health individual. It was a very combative situation. And,
Hopefully none of your officers were injured.
minor injuries, it's in the narrative, but yeah, minor. I think that's, I think that really all that stands out. We had, we did have 5 warrant arrests too, so that was a little unusual. So every couple of weeks, the holding station puts out warrants, lists of warrants for this county by town. So that's part of the thing that we try to keep up. Yes, Mark? So did you raise your hand?
No, I was just listening to you.
And then, so that's why that went up for those. Any questions on those? Traffic violations, obviously went up April, better month. April was better than May. May's just been nothing but a wet month. And we'll see the general increases. We're still waiting on the digital signs for the speed stuff. For those, to get those mounted, figured out where we're gonna put those. Any questions on that?
You're getting 3 of those signs, right?
Yes. Yeah. They're ordered. Calls of service, April, went down to 6 to the university. Suspicious person, motor vehicle complaint, stuff that's full patrolling, got in there. Back up, went down a little bit in April. You can see 2 to Fairhaven and 1 to Colton. And then it talks about the backup provided to us from these agencies. So when we talk about, obviously, we talked about April, and we look in the notes that, calls went up, we were busier, weather gets better, people start moving around. We talked about the assaults, the mental health issues. So the mental health definitely are going to still increase, which we have had every week. You may not see it here, you'll see it on service calls. We deal probably weekly 5 mental health calls about somebody, I'm still monitoring a situation up in Sugarwood Lane. It's took the responsibility of making sure that individual gets their meds, so I don't leave it up to him, and that's something that we've kind of discussed between each other. So, and that's the biggest thing. So all those incidents that happened in April involve all of them off their meds. Then they get in a manic state, and it gets out of control. Which takes a lot of time. When you talk about the one that they did on Blissville, or the one that was real combative, I mean, that was 4 officers. I was on vacation at that point. That was 3, gotta get a mental health warrant. So that was probably about a 6-hour ordeal from start to finish.
With 4 officers.
Yeah. I mean, you had people monitoring it, but you gotta work on their warrant, you gotta go through the essay, you gotta, that's just a bunch of stuff.
20 hours of labor at least.
Yeah, so that tied up. I mean, if there was another emergency, we would have they would have had to pull somebody out and go to it, or have some assistance, agency assistance on it, so. They're very time intensive when you deal with those situations. Been doing the increased patrols on the Blissville, still maintaining that. So it's not going to show up this month, but it'll show next month, just for kind of a contemporary news flash. Is that 2 weeks ago we had 2 cars stolen, and one was recovered on campus and the other one was recovered at the House Center. So same kind of format of
Same area?
huh?
Same area
One on-
again?
Yeah, one on Main Street and and one in Iron, which wasn't ours actually, but it ended up in Castleton. Key, doors unlocked, keys in
both cases?
both cases. So, you know, but since that, we're pretty proactive. You know, anybody that we see that were suspects in the past, they were asked kindly to leave. Any questions on that stuff?
I notice you've got, I'll call it a snake, across the road on Blissville. Is that counting the traffic?
Oh, yes, yeah, that's from the Rutland Planning Commission, they set it up, yes. We requested that survey to be conducted, so they run it for 30 days, they'll send a report back to the town manager and myself, and we'll see how it is, see what the average speeds are, how many cars, all that stuff. They can tell you if it's a car or a big truck, depending on the time, space, so the wheels go over it. Yes. You said snake, I'm like, I did
felt
catch
like
a big black snake over on Johnson Spooner Road. I took my body cam on, it was about a 3.5 footer, and I just moved it out of the road. 'Cause I don't like killing snakes, I like snakes, so, I know most people just run over with their car. So.
And back over it after that.
I know, but they're good for the environment, they kill all the rodents and such. Justin did work on the passive grant, so things will start coming in from, for the departments that they requested. So we did schedule that June 11th, that the cameras, they're gonna go up at Crystal Beach. And then, I don't know how many of the other ones have received everything since we did this before he left. He's on vacation now, so, I don't know, Mike, has anything else come in?
Yeah, there's a couple items that came in.
And then we're still trying to collect money from the Jiffy Mart spill that was in March, which we knew was take a while because the store blames the operator and the tanker that was there, and then vice versa. Well, somebody's gonna pay for it, so that, which would include our time, fire department, cleanup and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to work with them, of course, you know, they received it, but it's like, wow, you know, we're not gonna do anything right now, but by statute, someone's gonna pay it.
That's pretty normal.
Yeah, it is, it takes a while. Well, we knew that going into it.
All the materials will be back on the ground because all the tarps are falling off things, the rainwater's getting in there, any holes in the
Yeah,
bottom.
don't worry about it, it's fine.
Just keeps coming right out.
It's
so-
good, don't worry.
Okay, no. Any questions, comments, or anything you wanna bring up?
Have you seen that there's been people trying to get into cars on 4A by my place?
No?
I saw there was a video somebody had posted on Facebook across from O'Reilly's. Somebody was trying to
Well, some of
rifle
them-
through.
Some of the people don't even report it.
Yeah,
so
and then-
They didn't take anything. We did have one theft from Gilmore's, which was Birdseed.
Yeah,
Which we know who it is, we just gotta find this person.
I didn't know, like, if you guys are driving, if you happen to see somebody walking on the sidewalk in the middle of the night, do you stop
Yeah,
and
yeah.
say like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning, do you really need to be walking around on the sidewalk?
Absolutely.
I'm doing my exercises.
Huh? Yeah, you gotta get in earlier, you've been out too late, too much, too late.
There was a report to you on Corey Lane.
Yeah,
There was another, they
rifle through it.
yeah, they just rifled through a car, they didn't lock it, and they
A
didn't,
lot of times people will report those because they didn't take anything, and they'll tell a friend, and we find the third party, and then they tell them you should report it, because we need to know that. So Corey Lane is something that, since I've been here, I think it's the first time I've had one person going down there, going rifle through a car.
Yeah, the one across from O'Reilly's they had on camera, the dogs woke them up and they were able to yell at them and get them scared away, but
So they didn't get in the car.
no, they got them on, pretty clear on video pulling on all the door
Well,
handles.
I've had them before as a victim, last year maybe? Because who's that?
Warner, Weiner?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
it was Mary.
I thought it looked like Mary.
I try to sleep at night.
So we'll see how the summer goes. Just gotta stay on top of it. And then we'll see.
Well, it seems that people just lock their doors, whoever it is would go to Fairhaven.
Yeah. But listen, it's systemic everywhere. transferred or whatever. Oh, by the way, I did have one of my case 2 weeks ago, I got the DNA sample to match somebody.
From one of the prior thefts? Nice.
So
Nice
now
work.
I've gotta do a, non-testimonial order to get, swap from him to even match that, because it showed up, it still was a match, but I still have to go for that.
Was the person local or?
Not here.
Yeah.
Next town over, or 2 towns over. So, he was involved in 2 of them. So, we'll hopefully at least get something out of that one.
Go ahead, Ray.
It's just a quick question. With so much going on in the area of crime, are you getting the proper support from state police when you need them? Are they backing you up?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's no complaints among the officers on the road. Everybody's backing up if they need it. I mean, there's a case recently that we had that it should have been handled differently, not we handled it, and it was from another town. That town should have handled it. But because of the new domestic violence laws, even if you agency assist help another town deal and they don't do anything about it, we become liable as an officer. So that's something I'm dealing with. This happened twice to us.
Is that with the state police or other?
No, no.
Go ahead, Mike.
Chief, Mr. Chairman, Glenbrook Road, we had a health officer go down to a situation that's been ongoing on Glenbrook Road, with garbage left around, beer cans, and just litter. During his visit, he found some signs. Yeah, so we found some of the signs that people were taking. But one of the things that was, there was a letter sent to the VTSU, Vermont State University's president. It was mentioned in there about the rising number of complaints that the town of Castleton police officers are responding to especially to off-campus housing. And there was a situation during, I think it was Scorpion Bowl, that because of all the off-campus housing, the parties and things that were going on, our officers didn't even get a chance to go anywhere else in town because it just took up all their time. So the police department and our officers are just putting a lot of time in on university-type incidents. So that I think the letter that was sent, hopefully will send a message, and I'll be able to meet with the president of VTSU, David Berg, to.
I think he resigned today.
He's not resigning until next year. He resigned so
Got
that
that letter.
he resigned so they could do a search.
Okay.
But yeah, he's retiring. But he'll be around till next, I think, October. But your officers are really, it's taking up their time. I understand that. And
Yeah, I think the trend in the last 4 years, it's been manageable. Prior to that, it was a lot more time. I'd have to bring in other people in. We've had just 2 officers kind of deal with it. I haven't had it come in. But April, May, September, or August to October, and basically, end of March, April, May. Those are the 6 busiest months. Not that they don't spot parties in the winter, but it's much more manageable because people are, they get warm weather, they want to creep around, look around and find places.
Safe to say it's nowhere near.
Campus?
What's that?
And these all off campus?
Well, the students are coming from on campus, going on campus. They're just looking for.
Being a state university, it seems like the state police should.
Yeah, but that's a misnomer. People have been saying that since I've been here, but it's in Castleton. They're not going to, it's always going to be territorial when it comes to where the complaints are coming from.
It is safe to say it's nowhere near as bad as when we first hired you, right?
Oh, no, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. So, but, it's like anything else. I mean, the fire department, you still, I'd have to break the percentages down and see actually the time, how much time that is, over a week. But I think it's been more manageable in the last 4 years than it was the first 8 that I was here.
I can't speak to now, but I know that over the last 10, for 10 years ago was nowhere near as bad as 20 years ago for fire department going to the campus.
Yeah.
And that got better as well. How many fully involved popcorn fires did you go to, Mark?
The other thing was, we did the graduation, the traffic, I've never seen the traffic as bad as it was at the graduation, since I've been here for a while, because it included all the other universities that was part of that Vermont State system.
No, they all had graduation here?
Yes. So the plan was, and I had heard prior to this graduation, that they were gonna have the next one at another location, but I don't think they could deal with it. Because most of the students are here. You don't have that many graduates in the other systems.
They brought both the other two down.
Yes. Yep. And the traffic, I don't know if any of you went through town that day, it was crazy. It was nuts. And then the other good thing is, did we talk about the trade, how that trade thing was? That was
No.
actually good. They had about 2,200 students there.
Wow.
And it was really set up decent. I thought they did a good, the reps that were in charge of it, really got a lot of people involved, so it was good. So there's good things that come out of it. Our relationship has changed, as Keith and I were talking, or we don't have that one-on-one like the deans, because the deans for the universities are up here, they have assistant deans, but they don't have any really power. They have to go up top. So that's affected it, so this whole system has changed that way.
Anything else for the chief? Thank you, chief. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you, Chief.
Next item on the agenda is the appointment of the first constable. So if you recall, back when we made the decision to put that up to the voters, we had asked Peter Mantello if he would be willing to accept the non-law enforcement position of constable, and he has agreed to do so, to do the ceremonial duties. And is there any?
I would make a motion to appoint Peter Montello, the first constable, with no law enforcement powers.
Second.
Any more discussion on this? Pete, do you have anything to add?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Going to,
I'll have to fill out this and send it to the academy. So I didn't put your personal, like your date of birth and your social.
Fill out and give it to you to sign.
so that means when you come to town meeting next year, Pete, you're gonna have to wear 2 hats.
It's all right, it'll be all right.
Coin op requests. I didn't have anything in my packet. Oh, yeah, I did. How'd I miss that?
You can bypass this one. There was a miscommunication. I thought we'd received another one, and it was not, we did not receive
these are
another
the
one.
ones we've already
So this
approved?
is just ones you've already approved, so.
So we'll move on. So now we're down to 10:56, Mary Lee.
Doing good.
Yes, Lion Club auction.
I would make a motion to grant the Lions Club the use of the town green for their auction on August 6th through 7th with a rain date of August 8th, 2025.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Jeff, Jeff or Pat, do you have anything to say?
Well, I think is it safe to, I hate this word, assume that the Lions are gonna do what they always do and take care of the place and clean it up when they're done? I think
That's what
that's
the
it.
letter says.
They've
Yeah,
always done a
so-
good job of it.
I don't think there's any need for, I haven't called the question though yet, right?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't think there'd be a lot of debate. Liquor control approval for Go Grocers Group.
I would make a motion to approve a tobacco license to Go Grocers LLC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Got that? One abstention?
Correct. Got it.
Okay. Assessor reappraisal postage cost and mail, the value booklets. So, I thought I had, somehow I'm out of order here.
If you can't find that letter, Dick, it's in the warrant. There's another copy of it and with a.
Yeah, I had it here when I went through this earlier,
You
and,
wanna read mine?
no, it's okay. It's roughly 4K, right?
$4,504.16. We have to do this, right?
I thought Tyler Technologies was paying for that.
They paid to have the book made, which was $4,900, which is what, part of the agreement you reached with them?
Okay.
Now-
I thought we were gonna pay both.
They were, but the postage was underestimated. So when the printing cost and the postage came in, it was a shocker, for one, but, so it's presented to the select board. What I told the assessor was, I said, we gotta get it done, so go ahead and pay it, and then I'll talk to the select board at the meeting and see if you want me to go to Tyler Technologies and try to get the remaining, that money back from them.
I don't know why it wouldn't have been part of the $275,000 that they got paid to do the job.
Because the booklets weren't part of it, so when they renegotiated with that booklet, they agreed that they would pay up to $5,000 for the booklet and postage, so we're at that point where it exceeded what they agreed to pay.
Now, is that booklet going to each landowner?
Correct. There was one, 2000, it's on the,
2015 is the last time we did that.
it was
2219.
2,219. Is what we're paying for from the printers.
That was the agreement that we reached, that they would pay up to $5,000.
And they paid $49.26.42.
Who would have guessed the postage was that much?
When it was originally calculated, Mary Jo thought it was gonna be around like $2,800.
Well, I guess we don't have any choice.
We don't have any choice. I think that initially she thought that $5,000,
Cover both of it.
we're awful close to it, but
I-
that was the agreement was that they would go up to $5,000, so we have no choice.
I would make a motion to approve the postage cost of $4,504.16 for the mailings of the reassessment booklets
Could you add to the motion to come out of the assessor's budget?
to come out of the assessor's budget.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I do have one thing. I, in my conversations with Mary Jo, she is at this point happy with what Tyler Technologies has done, and they've met all their other obligations. Is that your understanding?
Primarily. There's a couple of little things that she's still kind of going back and forth with them on, but I'd say that as an overarching statement, that would be true. But there are some things we're still working out.
Okay.
Not that they can't, I think they're all solvable.
Roy, you have a question or a
Yes,
comment?
When would the residents expect to receive this in the mail?
The abstract has to be filed by June 3rd, and that's when those booklets have to be mailed out. And so the board is aware, Catalyst, this system that we use for the property records card, I had a discussion today with Mary Jo, I mentioned it to the chairman. It's gonna be about $1,000 to print, or not print, but have them do the higher end, I'll call it the higher end or more detailed cards. And I think in the long run, it will save a lot of hassle, because if a person that received the booklet wanted a little more detail, and they go to the assessor and she prints out the less detailed version, they're gonna go, why? You know, so to get the more detailed version, it'd be another $1,000, and I'm like, it's probably worth, to me, it was worth the $1,000 we'll get that back in just sort of labor. So.
Yep. Especially when the grievances start rolling in.
And that's exactly why I said it's gonna all play into the grievances. That timeline ticks, that hasn't been published yet, because it's depending on other things. If we don't file the abstract on time, then, because we applied for an extension to the abstract just in case, but it looks like everything's gonna be on track. But, so that's why the timeline for the grievances really hasn't been solidified.
It usually starts like what, within a week or two after the abstract's filed? But it's not firmed up yet, right, but we're,
It'll be published, so it'll be out on the website and on social media and everything else.
Roy started already.
okay, any more discussion on this? All in favor of Rob's motion?
Aye.
Aye. So let's talk about a town leased vehicle and equipment preventive maintenance policy. I went through, I thought it made sense that, this all made sense.
What I'm asking the board to do is to solidify something in writing about, on a policy, that will feed into good maintenance, good documentation, use of the Brightly asset management system, and I have the teeth into something
if
to
they're
be able.
not doing it.
Yes. And so, but for the employees, it gives them a handrail to follow, and they know what's expected of them, versus you do it one way, you do it another way. So this was a first draft. I didn't expect that, you might find something in there that you wanted more detail or questions on, but this was my first cut at it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this and we're all in favor of it. That, we've seen a lot of town equipment that needed to be replaced prematurely from, less than perfect maintenance and upkeep.
So what's your timeline? You want us to review this and approve it at a subsequent meeting? Is that your plan?
I'll, whatever you're at your leisure, I guess, because, if you hadn't had a chance to read it before this meeting and it's not gonna really be anything of a detriment waiting to the next meeting.
I looked it over. I thought it was good. I thought it, like you're saying, it gives you something to direct them to, and it gives you a chance to actually have some sort of recourse should they not do it.
And there's no reason why this can't evolve, right?
Right. This can evolve, bring it back to you, the select board, at any time.
Why bother? Why not do it now?
I'm not opposed. I'm just saying, and I'm saying also if we want to change it, or, Mike sees a reason to modify this policy, there's no reason why he can't.
Right, it's a living document based
Right.
on what's necessary.
The only thing I can see, Mike, is I don't have a blue folder.
Oh, you're right, because I don't know, yeah, you're right.
Let's kick this down the road a few more weeks.
No, let's not do that.
Times and,
If we can drag this out at least 6 months.
I would make a motion to approve the Town of Castleton policy on care and maintenance of town-owned or leased vehicles and equipment.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve policy number 0501-2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So.
Who seconded?
Mary Lee seconded, no, Mark seconded.
Okay, thank you.
So if you can, provide us with a official one at the next meeting, we'll be happy to sign it.
All right, thank you.
Or you can circulate it among the mailboxes, your discretion.
All right. Thank you.
And just make sure you stay after everybody to keep on top of
Well,
them.
if he just throws it in the blue folder for next meeting, we'll sign it then too.
I think he was talking
I was
about,
talking about staying on top of the maintenance and following it, but
Yes. First aid CPR policy. I think it's basically the same thing.
we're doing this stuff now, but again, when it doesn't happen, the teeth that says, this is what I want you to follow as a policy, and we get stuff scheduled, we don't let people lapse.
I didn't realize that we were doing this. This is a really good thing
Yeah, we started.
for everybody to be
I think I
trained.
started it my second year here, and we even did fire extinguishers and had somebody here had fake fires or real fires, but so it's, every facility has an AED except for I don't know if the library has one, I had a question on that one. but every facility now has an AED, at that location, so.
And people that are trained to use them.
That's kind of important.
All you have to do is have one person not die to make it all worth it.
I'd make a motion that we approve the municipal employee first aid CPR and AED certification / recertification policy.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
Policy number 0502-2025.
Any more, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Now, I did not have in my packet a
You don't have that one?
facility and vehicle equipment key and lock policy.
No, I found some errors that I needed to correct in it, so you didn't get a copy of that one.
So we'll be discussing that at the speed of town.
Next meeting, I'll have that one here. Probably there'd be more than that.
Okay. Then, let's talk about the crossroad at the north end of East and West Crystal Haven for a few minutes. We've talked about this several times. I think we had agreed to put it on the agenda for July 7th at one point in time.
I had it right here somewhere. It was in the minutes.
I think that,
July 14th.
okay, July 14th. Yeah, that would be the second Monday.
And I looked for the minutes of where it was said that there was it was done by a petition, and I cannot find that.
I think we just need to make sure that it gets advertised enough so if people want to come and state their piece. But I personally, I feel for safety reasons it should be open, but
Absolutely.
Well, I think that we should, solicit the,
I want to hear from
I mean,
everybody down there.
I don't think that most people in town really care one way or the other.
No, it's going to be a handful of people.
Right, but we need to get their input, but I think we also should solicit the input of our police chief and our fire chief and our EMS director chief, first response chief, I believe, and get their opinion on this as well.
And
the highway department.
foreman.
Highway foreman, agreed. So, I will do that. I will contact all of those people. Chief, expect a phone call tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman, at that meeting, it was discussed, remember the gates were discussed, so the gates never got put up, but there was questions about the stop signs. And so Jeff and I talked today, which he passed his CDL test, so he.
Awesome.
But in that minutes, did it talk about putting the stop signs in? I thought that was part of it. I'm not looking at the minutes, so I don't recall.
I believe that was, yes.
Yeah,
I thought we said, no matter what, to put the stop
There
signs in.
needs to be a stop sign on each end of that.
Whether it's open 6 months of the year or 12 months of the year, there should be a stop sign at each end of that road.
So I just want to confirm with him tomorrow, and he'll get those put up.
Now, I don't believe that road has a name, does it?
No.
Now, it wouldn't need a stop sign at the top of the hill.
Both ends of the loop.
In the north end, where Kern's
Talking the
property's on
north
one
end where
side.
next to Tom Kearns' property, that
Yep.
road. They're not talking about the one that goes out onto Route 30.
Correct. But it would need a stop sign coming towards the lake,
And going up the other
but
end.
when you go up the other end, you have to go right.
Yeah,
There's no traffic coming from the left.
but there's a house across the way.
Oh, there is?
I'm pretty sure there's a
The
house
driveway
straight
right across.
across.
Oh, I didn't realize that,
It
okay.
won't cost much to put a stop sign
Yep,
there.
then you need one, yeah.
I would suggest, and you guys can kick it around, that we call that Crystal Loop. Or Crystal Haven Loop. Just as a name. So it has a name, because it's gonna have to have a name.
And we can add it into the state's, the list that we can, depends on, you can, I think there's more to it, Mr. Chairman, that has to go into it, whether it's gonna be a class 3, class 4 road. It'd be probably the same as the other ones. And if it's a class 3 or above, then it gets added to the state's, our list of town roads, and then
Now,
we maintain it, we get money for it.
not looking to dredge up anything old here, but I know it's probably gonna get brought up. I just wanna make sure that we can legally have that as a road, because we've been told that we shouldn't have put it in there, and it's not supposed to be a road, and it can't be called a road.
Well, that same individual alleged that was not even on our
I'm
right of
just
way.
saying
and it
it's
turns
probably
out
gonna
it's-
come up again, so I just wanna make sure that we're all on the right page, that
Now,
we
is that
are
gonna-
100% correct that it's, as we believe it to be right now, on town property, not a town right of way, and that we have the legit authority to call it a road.
I will say that I know for a fact that it is on town property.
I would agree with that,
And it was built up to standards.
And it was also,
and it was mapped in the 50s or whatever that last map that we saw was, that it was supposed to have originally been there. But I just want to, I know it's gonna come up, so we just need to make sure that we have everything crossed and dotted.
Now, is this gonna be open year-round now?
well, that's what we're gonna discuss. Because historically,
Where the snowplow,
Correct.
right, historically, that was built, when, after that was put in, which was a while ago, a decade ago or more, right?
Yeah, at least a decade ago.
Historically had been blocked off in the summer and open in the winter. So the snowplow could do a turn without, the snowplow could just drive through there. And we had been historically closing it in the summer, and at some point in time, the residents have been moving the barricade so they can use it for parking. We've discussed it, and we need to make a decision as a board as to whether we're gonna leave it open all year long, or if we're gonna close it in the summer. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss that on July 14th, right? And we're gonna make sure that it's
Warned
warned,
to where people might see it.
and then we'll, when the 4 or 5 or us get together, we're gonna make a decision, and, but we'll get input first. I will go ahead and contact the police, fire, EMS, et cetera, about that highway, what their opinions are, and solicit their opinions, and so that when we have this discussion, you guys can be made aware of that, and then we'll make a decision.
I mean, things are different than they used to be between Amazon vans and FedEx delivering stuff all the time. I mean, the road's probably busier than it used to be. And do you really want an Amazon van or something backing up from the end of that road all the way to turn around somewhere? Or turning around in somebody's lawn or in the neighbor's yard or...
Right, it's narrow, there's kids out there.
Yeah, I mean, what's the safer bet? Having a stop sign on each end of the road and having somebody drive around, or having somebody that may not necessarily know how to drive a van try to back a van all the way up the road?
So, well, we're gonna discuss it and make a decision on July 14th.
Perfect.
got
We're
it.
all agreed on that, that's what we'll do. So now we're up to playground set funding at Dewey Field. Do you have input on that, Mike?
Not so much, just a discussion. I know that I talked to Mary McIntyre, and they're doing their own work, soliciting maybe donations, stuff like that. The last meeting, it was mentioned, I think, to you, Mr. Brown, about Casella's. I'm not sure where that stands, but it's like serendipitous that the day after the last discussion, that I had a guy pop into my office with a brochure. And he had no idea that the meeting happened. He just happened to be going through the neighborhood and stopped in and said, "Well, you're a municipality, do you need playground equipment?" And they're a Vermont company, and didn't hear back. He was gonna have the owner call me. The owner called me today and said, I said, "Well, I'm going to a meeting tonight." He said, "I'll have something to you so you can bring to them." He never sent it to me. But the cost of these things, for anything that's like 2 years old up to, 12 years old, it's expensive. I mean, we're talking $30,000+. But if it's gonna be fun, there's some fundraising, donations, that kind of stuff, it's gonna lessen the blow. But the question that needs to, I talked to Martha Clifford about it, is what size do we need down there? Size appropriate, age appropriate. So they're gonna have a discussion with this too, instead of building this grandiose thing that's overkill or bringing in something that's insulting.
Yeah, I mean, the one that was down there wasn't really anything huge. It was a old chain tire swing and
Swing and.
a little platform to climb up on with a slide, I think.
I would think it would be appropriate for younger kids, maybe 8 and younger.
Yeah.
You know, most of the kids that are down there are younger siblings of kids that are playing Little League.
Yeah.
And Little League is, Mary's gone, 10 to 12, roughly?
Okay.
What does it say about that?
8 to 12 at the most, the widest range possible, yeah.
Whatever
I think
we
Little
put down
League
there.
goes for
Fourth,
like
fifth,
3
and
or 4.
sixth grade, so I think that's 10 to 12.
Yeah.
So for younger kids.
So this gentleman that called me, he was gonna send me 2 different quotes, one for, again, that's that 2 to, like, 2 is the youngest, but that 2 to 8, and then the one that's gonna be up to 12. But whatever we do, I told him, I said, it has to be durable, because you're gonna have adults, sometimes they're adults.
Suitable for college students.
Yeah.
You're gonna have adult-sized human
It's gonna
beings.
become they already hang out and drink down there, so if there's a really cool playground, it might become even more popular. And so I don't have to trashing it and breaking it and that kind of stuff.
So I guess the question will be, do we need a playground for young kids or a playground for adults, you know?
Yeah. Just to bring you up to speed, there is some fundraising going on. The town has some money in the Dewey Field, T-ball field budget. Originally, I think it was $8,000, but there's some money that's been spent, so it's a little less than that. But once I have more information and the rec commission does their thing, we will have more to go on, but it's not died out. There's people still asking for donations and stuff like that, so. But I am gonna have, the highway crew take down the one that's there. It's not safe. It really isn't. And it's really full of slivers and the wood's all falling
Is it
apart.
really a playground if you don't get a sliver?
Well,
I mean, that's,
I don't
I
know
was
if-
a little, you know, I come from when, you know, the stuff was a little rough still.
not a sliver. Burns from the sun heating the slide up and you're getting 3rd-degree burns. That's a rite of passage. But-
Sitting on a piece of wax paper to,
I know the playground we had when I was in elementary school wouldn't be considered safe now. Roy, you had a comment or a question?
My question is that, are we going over board too fast here? That, I know that they're trying to raise money to replace a gym, and I thought they had to raise $80,000. So I'm just questioning, is everything going to fly at the same time?
Well, bad news doesn't get better with time, Roy, and I think that you solicit it, and if you don't get it, if you don't go fishing, you're not gonna catch anything.
Well, I think because things move at the speed of town, that at least we're starting the conversation, whether we actually do anything this year or if it's next year, or even perhaps, at least we're having the conversation and we have identified a need.
in trying to accommodate different age groups.
Right,
You know,
and we
this
can
is-
go forward from there.
One of the things we talked about was redefining rec, so it's not just Little League baseball, but that we can accommodate people from 2 until end of life. You know, that we want to have programs that fit everybody. So this is a slightly younger group than the gym
You
is.
start playing basketball at 2 years old now.
Yeah?
Well, we're just trying to look at all the facets here and have some conversations. That's really what this is about, is to start the conversation.
Spitball, there could be
Yeah.
some money that comes from somebody.
And who knows, maybe something will drop out of the sky, you never know.
And there's grants, I sent out the list of some, just a few grants, that there's more out there, for the rec commission to look at too, that, Eric Pulver and those people in the rec commission are full of energy and enthusiasm, so there could be some money that they could get through grants, but it might not be until next year.
Yeah, there was something that came through my email, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, that had some grants for like outdoor equipment and stuff like that too, so.
So planning it out and having a good vision and making sure we get the right equipment to do what we want it to do, it might not be till next year, which likely it's going to be. Likely it's not gonna be till this year anyway, so.
But
Do we know how much they have raised so far for the new gym floor?
I do not. I don't think anyone else in this room has any knowledge of that.
Justin's
That's-
really up on a lot of those grants too.
The gym floor thing is a Friends of Rec endeavor, and the only thing we did was agree that if they raise the money, we'll let them fix the floor. So at this point, we're not really involved in that. I don't have a status. Do you, Mark?
I do not.
Another thing with the playground equipment, it was mentioned at a previous meeting in another discussion that the Lions Club put together the one that was at Crystal Beach. So there could be some assistance with, on that end.
Labor versus, yeah.
I did talk to a Lion recently, I can't even remember who it was, who's, and I said that we were starting to we were thinking about doing it at Dewey Field, and his first comment was, well, if we can help out, let us know, so. But that's typical of Lions, they're always willing to help the community.
Well, I heard the same thing, and Pat's not on it anymore, but their meetings are coming to an end, right? So even, what I was told was, yes, there may be funding there, but they had more questions than answers at that point. So it's gonna take us gives us some time to get those questions answered and go back to them, if they are willing to do anything as well, so.
Their banquet is Monday,
Yeah.
and then I think it's 2 months or 2.5 months they don't meet
Right.
during the summer.
That definitely gives us some time to put together a pitch.
But I'm sure that if nothing else, there'd be a few people there that would help us put it together.
Oh, yeah.
We know that for sure. All right, we're gonna move on. Your discussion, Mike, you wanna talk about your letter that you sent to the VTSU president?
The letter I wrote, basically was my foot in the door with the new president of the university. He was interim, and then he was now he's permanent. Now he's submitted his resignation, so it comes full circle. But is to get my foot in the door, and I put in the letter, I could talk to him about call volumes and history and that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to be able to I didn't want to become overbearing with him. I just want to have a meeting with him, whether it's initially by phone or virtual or in person, because he's not at this campus.
Where's his office?
Randolph?
You don't wanna show up at his office with a couple big guys and,
Yeah.
we're gonna work this out one way or another.
Yeah, I think that's a really good start.
So, we'll see what I get for a reply.
Mike, this one's all you, budget status report.
Yeah, there's nothing to provide. I have a copy of I printed out a copy out of Nemrick, but, we're coming into the last couple months, month and a half or so of the fiscal year. I have some, I think, valid concerns on some of the departments. So I put a spending freeze on unless it's absolutely necessary for them to spend money. Emergencies, or truck needs to go vroom vroom, so we need to put gas or diesel in them. But discretionary spending stopped because I know we're over on the assessor's budget because the reappraisal was more than what we had from the state, the monies, and there's other departments. So the mechanics budget's they've already spent everything they had in it, and we're not even done to the end of the year. So the highway budget is gonna have to, the rest of the highway budget's gonna have to help offset some of the over expenditures. We've got word today that TNT will have the parts from Viking Surveys in the middle of June to finish the Chevy 6500. Called Dan from Avalanche. They went up and looked at the wood chipper, and they had to order a part for it. So there's still ongoing things that we need to do just to get things done, the routine things. So, but I put a freeze on spending, and I don't think it's going to really impact most people, most departments, but the PD usually gets to the point where they get a lot of reimbursements from the state grants through the Rutland County Sheriff's Department and the school resource officer stuff, and they were overspent last year. And so don't want it to go into it again, because that was $223,000 of over expenditures that had to be absorbed by that non-discretionary, undesignated, unassigned money in the general fund. And we can't keep doing that year after year, because there'll be nothing left. those are like the rainy days, like, oh crap, something happened, and we've burnt through rainy day money over the last 7 years since I've been here on all this extra, with all the sidewalk projects and all this stuff. We've burned through a lot of that money, so I have to be a little careful, more careful than I would have been 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, if there's no money left, these guys can't spend anything. It's just straightforward. Make what you have work.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think we're gonna, it won't be grade services. We're still gonna grade the roads. We're still gonna fix potholes. We're still gonna have police cars and police officers cruising. Fire department will respond. That stuff's, but hey, I'd really like to get that extra section of culvert. Like, no, July 1st. So,
That's why you call it a budget. Anything else, Mike? Any questions from the board? Then we're gonna go on to manager's report.
which I didn't do.
I don't have a copy of.
What's that?
I don't have a copy of a manager's report.
No, because I didn't do one. But I'll give you an update. I talked to Bud Carpenter today. They should be done by the middle of June with the salt shed.
It looks good. We took a ride up there
Yeah.
the other night. It's
Yeah.
looking good so far.
Yeah, looks really good.
So he said purlins were going up. There are few trusses left. The siding and the roofing. He said by the middle of June, which we called Wilkes today. He said the week of the 16th, probably the end of that week, they can start paving. They'll pave the inside, the apron, then we'll finish up on the outside, but that won't, once the paving's done on the inside and the apron, we can move our salt stores that are over on Route 4A into that building before June 30th, before the lease runs out.
Is that gonna keep us in line with not having to do a resolution for the money? For that, wasn't there something where if they didn't get it finished by a certain
By June
time?
30th.
Yeah, so we're looking good.
Yeah. And the chairman came in today in the office and grabbed some stuff, and I happened to be talking to him about it, and I'm like, this is budget related, not manager report stuff. It would have been a lot to type. But when the ARPA funds by the end of last calendar year were used to pay highway department and police department budgets. That was what the auditors recommended because it was the biggest dollar amount. It creates an artificial surplus at the end of this fiscal year, by June 30th of this year. So what the select board's gonna have to consider is looking at those projects that were on that ARPA list and saying, yes, we still wanna do this project, like the salt shed or the stormwater projects. And then I'll do the resolution before, that you have to make a motion on before the end of June, so that we can carry it over into the next fiscal year. And you don't lose, because otherwise it goes into the general fund as a surplus, and then it has to go to the voters to decide what they want to do. And there was $465,000 that was carried over in ARPA. So those projects won't get done if that happens, if it goes.
Right.
So, if the board still wants to do those projects, I'll bring all that stuff back before you in June, and
And that's what we allotted the money for, so I think we probably should do those projects.
and it should, I don't see where, right now, anyway, I don't see where there's gonna be these over expenditures and budget lines that would have to cover that extra money, that was in that undesignated, unassigned stuff. So I think that can be done. I'll bring it back to you in June.
You still got the foundation for a list anyways, right? I mean,
The list of stuff
what we
that-
had in theory already approved anyways. We just unfortunately had to change the way we counted it.
So that was big thing. I told you about TNT with the 6,500. Jeff passed his, so now we have 2 additional CDL drivers, Britt and Jeff.
Brett passed as well?
He did, yep.
Super.
I hired Frank Donovan from, I don't know if you know Frank. He works at the state park. He has an address of Whitehall, but he has Cedar Mountain, yep. And but he's working part-time, summer help, basically, in the highway department. He's cross-training with Bill Harris at the transfer station so that we have coverage, because Heath gets 5 weeks of vacation, plus personal days and everything else, and he has to take some time off, and there's no coverage. So now we're gonna have more than one person to help cover should somebody be sick, on vacation. And I sent Joe Carmel, our accountant, and Megan Mullen, our new secretary to the tax collector, up to the transfer station last week, and they worked 4 hours up there to help me assess some of the administrative procedures and how we do things, because it's been a complaint for years. And so they went up there, they looked at how the thing, they actually ran the register, they ran the scales, and they got a good sense of how much of a pain in the rear end that place can be when it comes to our procedures with HayGov and all the other things. So I've asked them to come to me with a proposal or suggestions on a point of sale system, like when you go to the grocery store and you bring everything up there from all departments, and you don't pay for your meat in the meat department, you don't pay for your, and they scan it, barcodes and stuff like that. There's point of sale systems that are like that, and I think the hardware's, somewhere in like the $500 range, but instead of all this work, just you scan it, boop, and it
Receipts in your email.
goes to the register and goes, thing of stickers, $10, or, that kind of stuff. So, and it manages inventory that way, and there's not this multiple manual processes that we use now.
Well, if you can invest $500 in hardware, it doesn't take long to recover that in labor, usually.
If you're saying you're going to scan it, are each of our bags gonna have a?
The bag, the sheet, so what basically will happen, and when they come up there and they have a white bag, instead of wasting this red sticker, the people that buy the sheets will be able to still put them on their, they'll buy a sheet of them. So they'll scan it, boop, sheet of 10, $30, or $25. And then, but if the people that come in there every day that it's open, they have one white bag, they don't have any stickers, they walk up there and say, I have one white bag. So our guys have to ring in the one white bag, they take the sticker, they put a line through it, so it's saying it's used, or they hand it to them, and all they do is put it on the bag and throw it away. And like, if they can go in there and with a barcode and go, boop, one white bag. Now it records it, logs it, inventories it, and we're not wasting these stickers. It's just a waste.
You could do that like with tires. If you got somebody that's got a tire, you just shoot done. Now it's into the thing. You get a printout. Then hey, we got 48 tires in there.
Yeah.
Versus somebody handwriting, 4 tires, $28.
So it is the inventory system. It's just gonna be more efficient when we wanna pull data down. When they say, how many mattresses did you take in this year?
Or it might be beneficial too to try to figure out, because we're at a loss with that up there anyway, so where we're actually losing and what we have to change, it would be at least some information to have on our side.
Part of my manager report, that's in your manager report. Mattresses now are going to $50 a piece over at Rutland. And I guess they're backing off a little bit on it, but Hubbard's, I gotta call Tim Hubbard, talk to him about what they would charge. New York's still 25 down there, which closes that. If we're bringing to Rutland, we're paying 50, and a lot of our runs on demo right now, we're just bringing to Rutland, because the cost difference running it to New York State hasn't been real cost savings, plus the time.
Do we put mattresses somewhere else, or do they go in the demolition?
Depends on where you bring them. New York allows us to still throw them in the garbage, but that one place had a fee of $25.
So we have them sorted out separately up there?
They had a whole bin that was one of those enclosed bins that they put them in so the water wasn't getting
Yeah.
in. Because when we were paying for them by weight,
Yeah.
a heavy soaked mattress we're paying for water weight. So, he's been really good about keeping in touch or in tune with what's going on around. And he came to me with that, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to really look at how we're doing business, because we only charge $25 $25, I think, or so, $24 for a mattress, somewhere in that range.
Well, if we're paying 50 to get rid of a mattress,
Yeah.
we need to charge $55 to
Right.
get rid of a mattress.
So
Of
if,
course, if we charge $55, they're gonna be on the side of the road.
What about the bunch that was, I assume, the college kids at the end of Sand Hill? There must have been 6 mattresses
Yeah.
stacked up there. Do we have to pick those up?
no, we normally don't pick those up. We'll call the landowner and say, your tenants just threw 6 mattresses out, go pick them up.
Okay.
And,
As far as throwing them on the side of the road, hopefully we could get somebody that would get a license plate number down.
Yeah.
You know, maybe just put out a thing, being a little more vigilant about if you see somebody that happens to be parked on the side of the road with a mattress.
on the roof.
Just sitting there doing nothing.
Waiting for.
Yeah, waiting for the
traffic
car to
stop.
drive by.
I'll have a little more information as we talk to Hubbards and, do more of analysis on bringing the stuff to New York. We're starting to get to a point where New York and Rutland weren't that far off. And then you get the time
Oh, yeah, travel, I mean, you gotta calculate
wear and tear on the
fuel,
truck and,
employee time, all that wear and tear. I mean, it all adds up.
but when it comes, it used to be $25, now it's $50 for those mattresses. That starts making,
Yeah, if you got 50 mattresses and piled in the truck, it makes a pretty big difference.
that's just a little bit update on what's going on up there. I don't know if anybody wants any updates on projects, but
I'm good. Mark,
I think I'm good.
anybody else?
Fine.
Then we're gonna move on to, purchase orders for approval. Hang on. I think I got them right here for you, Rob.
Oh, you got a red folder, maybe not a blue one.
I didn't get a blue folder, but I got a red folder.
We all set?
Yep.
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 054101 to the U.S. Postmaster, care of Mary Dearborn at Repro Graphics for the sum of $4,504.16, and that's the postage for the reappraisal booklets and the certificate of mailing.
I think we already approved this, but,
Yeah, we have to approve the
We have
purchase order though.
we have to specifically approve the purchase order.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053863 to Bobcat of Saratoga for the purchase of the T4 Bobcat track loader for the sum of $62,444.75.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just, that's in our possession. If you ever want to stop by,
Already?
it's in the garage.
Perfect.
When I saw Evan, he said it was getting delivered this week, so. All in
That's how
favor?
stuff gets done. Couple weeks and it's already taken care of and over with.
That's the speed of Rob.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Would make a it would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053861 to Viking Sives for the sum of $2,376.48 for the pump and the clutch on the Dodge 5500.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is in service, and that's what's got the new water, chloride system in it, so it's back in service.
Move on to
I did have somebody ask me a question the other day. They saw that truck with the tank pulled in, backed up by the river on East Hubbardton Road. Do we pump water out of the river?
Yeah, when they're grading, they'll.
Yeah, he was just asking me what they were doing there. I assumed that's what it was, but,
as long as that water's wet, right?
yeah.
Okay.
No trouble.
We'll move on to, warrants.
Make a motion to approve warrant number 0523 for the sum of $119,989.16. Warrant number 0526 for the sum of $54,302.05. Warrant number 0527 for the sum of $4,504.16. Warrant number 0515P for the sum of $18,974.70. Warrant number 0522P for the sum of $20,695.44. And warrant number 0529P for the sum of $21,951.57.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the warrants. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rob, did you read the Viking bill?
I'm reading it right now. It doesn't make much sense.
I just can't believe, customer says they put a new clutch on and it caught fire. Pretty obvious that whatever the clutch is hooked to is not turning.
Yeah.
Well, let's try it one more time, and it catches fire. Now we'll check the pump.
Well, Viking didn't do the first.
That was another
me?
shop
Viking
that
didn't do
did
the
that
first
repair.
When the pump caught on fire, it was not at Viking.
Right, but then it went to Viking,
Yep.
and they took the burnt clutch off and put another one on it and started it up, and that one started smoking.
Yeah, that's not what I heard, but okay.
That's what they wrote right
Did they,
here.
right?
Then they installed a new pump and a third clutch. The first one they put on, they burnt up.
Because that, I was told that they said that the pump, they should have, the other place should have checked the pump before they put the clutch in there.
If a clutch burns up, whatever it's on isn't turning.
I'm surprised we got the parts. It's just. And while you're signing those, just an update too, the mower tractor's been out a lot, and I've got some good feedback that they're doing a good job on that. So
Who operates that?
Mike Smith has been operating it. And I'm sending,
It looks good. I think Evan painted it up a little bit.
Bumblebee.
It looks nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's just somebody come up there and said, "Do you have a new tractor?" I said, "No, it's just, we put a lipstick on a pig, it's still
Yeah.
a pig," but.
It looks good.
But they, so they've been out with that, sending two guys to a class, Bill Harris is one, and, Britt to a mower tractor class, on the 26th of June. And Evan and Britt are going to a welding class in Rutland, forgot, in June as well.
Good.
You're taking them out of this 30-mile radius. I don't know. We did him. He doesn't go beyond 30 miles, it seems like. And he's sending them way up north.
Yeah, it was like Swanton or something. He said, I had rolled into class and they put me on a wait list, but he said, "We can ride our motorcycles." I said, we'll leave in a sunny day, and by the time we get up to near Burlington, it'll be raining. So.
I may change my signature,
Just a line, X.
like this one's.
So you
I used
know-
to have good handwriting, but.
Just so you know, Rob, we're ahead of schedule.
Computers ruined it.
I'm
Yeah.
watching it very closely to congratulate you.
It's not my doing. Well, maybe a little, but
Got a fly in here.
Well, I used to
So-
have to sign my name on every fishing and hunting license that I sold. So after a while, my nice signature went to crap just because when you got 15 people waiting in line, you're just like, yep, yep, yep.
When I reported on board the USS Hall when I was a junior E4 petty officer in my division, so I got assigned to supply petty officer duty for about 4 months. And they have a form in the Navy that's 5 copies for every piece of supply item you get, every eraser, everything. Has a form called a Form 1250, and it had 5 copies, and you had to sign, there was no carbon in that thing, you had to sign all 5 copies original. That's how my signature got the way it was. So after about 3 months of that, signing your name literally several hundred times a day, you got to say you did it pretty quick. And then the new E4 came on board, and there you go. Now you get to sign your name. That was one of the rites of passage, I guess.
3, 4, 5. You got 6 of them, Dick?
Perfect. So let's move on to select board comments. Mark, do you have anything?
I don't have any comments tonight.
Okay. Mary Lee?
None.
Rob?
Nothing that I didn't bring up already during the meeting.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about the UDR. The UDR was submitted to us on March 15th. We have until August 15th to get it approved and back to the Planning Commission, which means that we have to have our public hearing in July or early August at the very latest. And we have to give a 15-day notice for that, is that correct?
I think it could be 10 to 15, I can't remember.
Well, let's assume a worst-case number of 15 days' notice, which means that we have to, as a board, be done in the month of June, basically. So, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page as to our methodology on how we're going to do that. It was suggested to me by the zoning administrator today that we have a joint meeting with the Planning Commission and try to just hammer it out in one meeting. I'm not opposed to that concept, but I wanted to get the input from you people to decide what our path forward should be.
I went through again. I have 29 questions,
Okay.
and I think a joint board meeting would be, some of them are sentences that they haven't finished.
They just
You know, things like that. But some of them are, well, I can't find, they said agriculture, go look at census note. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. I've gone down through it again and again, and I want to know what's affecting me. And so I've just put a note, where do I find this? Just go to RAP or something like that.
Yeah, it would be smart to
And I can't find
have
any
them there.
RAP anywhere.
So I talked to the ZA today, and they're agreeable to meet on June 2nd, which is a week from today, if you guys are willing to do that. Just a thought.
That's not June 2nd.
No,
June 1st?
Sunday is June 1st, I think.
June 1st?
Monday is June 2nd. Oh, I'm
We're-
sorry, I'm
we're
thinking today's
Thursday.
Monday, sorry.
I would rather it not be on a Tuesday. I can do it, but they depend on me at the Legion for bingo.
No, that's June, what's today, the 29th? June 2nd is this coming Monday. They would be willing to do it on June 2nd, this coming Monday.
Monday's fine, yeah.
Or we could do it on June.
I'll miss the banquet, but that's okay.
I'm a
Oh.
little tight this week coming up, but
We could probably, I'll talk to Karen tomorrow, or not tomorrow, tomorrow's Friday, so she won't be back in the office till Thursday, but I could talk to Frank Johnson and see if we could set something up for the 16th. Now, Mary, she already said that they would agree to meet on their regular meeting, which is the 10th, but that's a Tuesday, so we can try to, avoid
I
that.
mean, I can, but it puts them very short.
Yeah, and it's not your first choice. So if we met with the planning commission on the 16th,
Which is what day of the week?
which is a Monday,
Okay.
we have a regularly scheduled select board meeting on the 9th and the 23rd.
Okay,
The 16th would be the Monday in between. I can probably have plenty of time enough to get either all of or the majority of the planning commission together for that.
So you're saying
Or we can come up with another day. I mean,
you're saying June 9th?
June 9th is a regularly scheduled select board meeting,
Yeah.
as is the 23rd. So if June 2nd doesn't work, that's too short a notice or inconvenient, or you've already got
Yeah,
commitments.
that week is kind of taken.
So I would suggest we do it on the 16th.
That works for me.
I would be fine with that.
You do that, Mark?
That's a Monday?
Yeah.
That's a Monday.
Yep.
I will get a hold of the planning commission chair tomorrow and attempt to set that up.
6 or 7,
Yes.
one or the other.
At this point,
Okay.
let's see what the consensus is. I can do 6 or 7. It really doesn't
I
matter.
can do any time.
Now,
So we really need to resolve this in this one meeting
yes.
from our side. I'm not sure that they're gonna be capable of resolving it on their side because of just what you talked about, these incomplete sentences.
I don't believe that any non-substantive change requires them to start over. It's us, it's only us that will have have the requirement for a public hearing.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident that's correct. Do you agree, Mike?
I agree.
So as long as there's no real substantive change, so like if we're clarifying a sentence or making some minor changes, now if we make major changes, then the process, we're basically kicking it back to them. So before we do that, we better make sure it's well thought out.
Like when we sent it back for the trailers.
Yeah,
That was, they had to
yeah.
basically start over.
And I'm not
Did
saying
they
that
address the fence setback?
they have made a change, and it's in the new revised version, the red line version we have, about the changing it for the farmers.
Okay.
I didn't get a copy of that.
Okay, I know I'll go through my old emails and find it and make sure you guys have that.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Yeah, I still have the first, well, not the first one, but the last one.
And I've had several citizens comment on that particular issue with the fence setback for residential properties, and
Yeah, I
they're
know.
unhappy with it. So that may be a sticking point.
That could be 6 feet of no man's land.
I
don't think we really need to get into discussing it tonight, but I think
No.
that there is probably a way that we can word it so that it's,
So I'm going to say this again, and it may or may not be welcome, but I do not believe that it violates any ethics for us to create a consolidated list of issues for this, that we all have knowledge of what everyone else's issues are prior to the next meeting when we discuss this. As long as we don't do any discussion or make any changes or have any discussion prior to that meeting. So, and if somebody has an issue with the chairman of this board doing that, then the town manager has volunteered to have one of the town office staff do that, where you just create your list of things, submit it, so it gets consolidated into one list, so that when we go into a meeting, we all know what everyone else's issues are. And I personally don't feel that's a violation of any ethics or violation of any meeting laws. Now, Mark, do you agree with that still? Or am I saying it right? Because I know we've had this discussion.
You're saying it correctly. I
And if you guys don't want to do that, that's fine, just tell me now, and then we won't.
you'd be just collecting the data.
Correct.
Or somebody else.
Or somebody else. You have a problem with the fences, I have a problem with the trailers, you have a problem with the setback on sheds.
Yeah, I don't see a
And we just
violation.
consolidate that, all right, and so
I
we.
don't see a violation on that.
Yeah, and that's all we do. We don't discuss it, we don't make any, we don't provide feedback to any other member, anything like that. That's all we do.
So at the meeting that we have with them, we all have the same list.
Correct. That's all I'm trying to accomplish, so that we all know what's going to be discussed, so that if we have thoughts on somebody else's, because Mark doesn't like the fences, and I now know this, I'm not gonna talk to Mark about it in advance of the meeting, but when I walk into the meeting, I know that he has a problem with the fences, and you have a problem with shed setbacks,
Yeah,
or
that
whatever.
could be helpful, because it might be something, you know, that it's 100 and whatever pages long, that you either misinterpreted or didn't understand when you read through it the first time. Mark picks up on it, and I read it and go, oh yeah, that makes, you know, I agree with Mark on that, you know, that should be changed, or, and then it'll give somebody a place to come back with an argument too of why
Yeah.
you don't think it should be changed.
But what we can't do is discuss this between anybody
Correct.
prior to the meeting. You agree with that, Roy?
You can't talk to him about any issue.
Right, but but we can have a consolidated list of things that we want to discuss. Because VLCT's guidelines are very clear that you can disseminate information for future discussion prior to a meeting.
Can
You
we
just
get
can't, you just can't discuss it.
Can we get that list ahead of time?
Yeah, that's my whole point.
Because I'd like to see all of Mary Lee's ones too, because she has
29.
she has more than I do, I think. And
Yeah,
I
if she's got 29, I don't want to see the list.
I want to see it because I want
I
to see
do,
what I
I want to
missed.
see I think it would be, and I think it would be an extreme advantage for, we don't want to see it now, Mary Lee.
I'm just
But
saying.
and I think it
here's
would
the
also-
page numbers.
And I think it would also help immensely for the planning commission to see that list in advance. So that when we all get together, we can hopefully get some work done.
Also give somebody a chance to, on their own, to review something and say, oh, yeah, I do agree with that statement. That
Oh
Mary-
crap, I missed that. Mary Lee's right about those shed setbacks. Or, I don't agree because, and, but,
This shouldn't have been crossed out, and it is.
Yeah. So Roy, what's your question?
Now, remember, after you get the list, each of you can't call up.
No, you can't talk to each other.
Talk to the group.
Correct.
We're all very clear on that, Roy. We're making sure everyone's clear on that.
If you want to send it to Christine, and then she could consolidate it, and then she sends out to the planning commission and the select board members, and you're kind of wash your hands of like, nobody, that guy didn't touch my
Back to
statement.
that.
No, I do not. That's what we're trying to accomplish, is make sure everyone knows what the everyone has all the discussion topics before the meeting.
It's pretty early. If you'd like to read the UDR out loud tonight from start to finish, I'm sure we can all sit here and.
I don't know, it takes,
I don't think,
it takes several days.
I don't think the chairman's gonna go for that one. So what we'll do is we'll see if the, planning commission will agree to meet on the 16th.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, we get our things.
And submit it to Christine.
I'm sending you her email address right now.
Okay, so we have a plan. Anything else for select board comments?
My only question on the UDR, I guess, that you might be able to answer right now would be, is all that floodplain stuff, does that all follow the state regulations as well?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Do you agree with that, Mike?
I'm sorry,
All the
Flood-
floodplain stuff that's in the UDR, does that follow along with the state guidelines, state regulations that we currently have?
according to Jonas, when he was doing that stuff, yes.
Okay.
Personally, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I just,
But that's what,
that's an acceptable answer.
That's my understanding too.
Yeah.
That's what our current ZA has assured me.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, but I didn't want to assume.
Doesn't hurt to ask a question. Anything else for select board comments? The only action item I've got that Mike doesn't already have on his list is I'm going to talk to the emergency responders and highway about access, 12-month access on the
Crossover road.
on a crossover road that we may or may not decide to call Crystal Haven Loop.
That's a good name.
That's like, that dropped out into my head this afternoon when I was talking to Mike.
North Crystal Haven?
That's another option. I don't think that we need to discuss that any
then we have to
further
have South
tonight.
Crystal Haven.
I don't think we need to discuss it anymore
No.
tonight, but
Absolutely not.
Maybe we
That's-
could sell naming rights to that and earn some money.
let's move on to, any more action items? Nothing? Okay, then, anybody needed executive session besides me?
I'd like one on personnel, please.
Okay. Then I'll entertain Mike, anything else before we go into executive session? Nope. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
At, what do you got, 8:41?
Go ahead, Mary Lou.
Yes.
I make a motion that we go into executive session on personnel at 8:41.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.